Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, Gupta-linked Iqbal Sharma is back in court on fraud and corruption charges. It relates to a dodgy 24.9 million rand tender granted to his company Nulani Investments. It was tasked to do a feasibility study for an agricultural project in the Free State. Now, meanwhile, the NPA is yet to secure the extradition of the Gupta brothers, who were arrested in Dubai last year. eNCA's Moloko Moloto is watching this case for us and joins us with the very latest. Good morning, Moloko. An eventful week in court last week. Can you just give us a summation of what was stated in court?
Hello, Mfundo Mabalani. Well, this is a case, as you correctly said, involving the Gupta associates and their companies. Iqbal Sharma being the owner of that company called Nulani Investments, which got 24.9 million rand contract without issuing a tender by the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development here in the Free State. That money was paid to Nulani Investments. However, it found its way into the bank accounts of the Gupta brothers, even offshore bank accounts. And that is why there is an effort on the part of the state to bring them back to South Africa so they can stand trial. Essentially, that particular transaction, it was to conduct a feasibility study so that the provincial government can go out and assist rural communities to become farmers. And we know now that it laid the ground for the establishment of another controversial transaction, the 280 million rand eNCA project. And we know that separately some of the accused in this case, including the heads of department and some senior officials in the Department of Agriculture, are the core accused in a separate court regarding specifically the eNCA project. And Musebenzi Zwane, the former agriculture MEC, is also an accused in that particular case. So they basically are linked. What transpired last week when the trial commenced, we have heard from an official who is attached to the forensic audit unit in the National Treasury, Mr. Spiwe Matlangu, who was there essentially to indicate that that particular transaction that led to the department here paying 24 million rand was not in line with the procurement and supply chain management regulations, and that it had not been approved by the provincial treasury here in the Free State. Of course, he is based at the National Treasury offices in Gauteng or in Pretoria. And we also heard the defense lawyers trying to poke holes, trying to discredit Mr. Matlangu, saying that he is not an objective witness, and that he is not an expert, and that he is not the person who has actually drafted the documents which were up for discussion. You would recall that essentially what was up for discussion last week was that the document or the memo which had been drafted by one official in the department was a memo which was asking the National Treasury to deviate from the normal procurement processes. So that deviation is being questioned because there was no emergency, and the Nulani investment is said not to be bringing any expertise in that its services are not sole services only provided by them. So there was no reason, according to the state, to provide that particular contract to Nulani and not issue out a tender for competitive bidding. And we also had from another state witness, which is Mr. Shadrach Telusa, who was very central in the awarding of this contract, in that he was acting director for supply chain management. He's the man who drafted that particular memo. However, when he took to the stand as a witness for the state, he said that he has actually been instructed by senior officials, specifically Sipati Dlamini, who was the CFO at the time, who was his boss, and she's the one, according to the loser, who dictated to set right this memo in this particular manner. However, the defense was saying, take responsibility, you're the one who initiated this thing, and he wrapped his testimony last week. Of course, we also know that the state has lined up up to 35 witnesses who are going to be testifying on behalf of the state.
Oh, it seems they covered a lot of ground last week. So what are we expecting today? Any particular witness of interest?
Well, today we are also expecting that a third witness for the state will take the stand, and what will happen is that the state will first do evidence in chief, essentially trying to make the facts clearer so that the court can understand what would have transpired. But then the expectation is that the defense lawyers for all the 8 accused, you'd recall that there are 6 persons here who are accused and 2 companies, at least those who are in court, with the exception of the Gupta brothers who are not here in court. Those defense lawyers will certainly be doing cross-examination on the witness who will be taking the witness stand today. Up to so far, we tried to get a comment from the ID, the Independent Directorate, to understand who specifically is this witness, state witness, who will be taken to the stand. And according to the spokesperson there, Sindisiwe Sibuka, a decision is yet to be taken. There are discussions as to specifically who among the 35 will have to take the stand. However, she's saying that whoever is going to be taking the stand today as a witness will be somebody who is a government employee. We know that the loser and some government employees who are also implicated are state witnesses, in that they are also given protection in terms of Section 204 of the Criminal Procedure Act, in that if they give testimony or evidence that is truthful and they don't hide anything, they will then be given indemnity, in that they will not be prosecuted. That is, if the court is satisfied that their evidence or testimony was given truthfully, even if the state does not secure a conviction. But those are some of the people. As I said, one official from the government department, according to the ID, will be taking the witness stand today.